It's September, and so soon the Ember months are upon us. There is this myth about this period, but I would like to say at this point that it's just a myth. If we put our acts together, those disasters will not come near us. With that, I say welcome. This is NIMASA This Week. My name is Cordelia Obe. The maritime sector is experiencing a lot of collaborative efforts amongst the agencies within that sector. I'm talking about the government agencies. A meeting of heads of the agencies took place recently at NIMASA, and the DG NIMASA was the chair of session. We'll be sharing a report with you that will be elaborating on these collaborative efforts. And also, the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria paid a working visit to NIMASA. What were some of the things they talked about? I can assure you that dock workers and seafarers were top on their agenda. These and more we'll be sharing with you on the program NIMASA This Week. I'm your guide, Cordelia Obe. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Introducing the new face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for a maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA, changing the tides in your favor.
The management of NIMASA has restated its commitment to developing a maritime sector that will contribute immensely to the economy of Nigeria. The DG NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, said this much when he played host to some retirees from the agency. He also said that stakeholders have a key role to play too in contributing to the effectiveness of the maritime sector.
I am happy and delighted to see that the people that I followed behind closely, they are the one now initiating the Retiree Association of the agency to remind us that look, even though we retire, we are not tired. Even though we retire, it's not that we lack knowledge. Even though we retire, it's not that we are not willing and hoping to give a helping hand and make sure the younger generation have the quality of knowledge, skill, and intellect that we have or we acquire in the system.
A former director of Admin and Human Resources led the team of retirees to NIMASA.
Coming back here is like homecoming. You recall that after spending close to 30 years of my service in the agency, is also mostly excited and happy to be here to also see you guys doing very well. I am highly impressed, and I have no doubt in my mind that the crowd of people that we have trained, that we have worked with over the years, has made an appreciable and impeccable aspect of the maritime industry. We are happy to be here and will continue to associate with the new management and support the management in the drive to make the industry move forward.
The heads of all government agencies in the maritime sector have shown their commitment to collaboration as a way of having efficiency in the maritime sector. In light of this, the DG NIMASA has already paid some visits to the NNPC, the Nigerian Immigrations, the Nigerian Customs Services, all in a bid to bring them in to the collaborative efforts going on in the maritime sector. The monthly meetings that usually hold with the heads of these agencies coming together to deliberate on the way forward will be coming up shortly, and it will be held by the Nigerian Inland Waterways authorities. In this particular report, we'll be sharing with you how far it has come and what more to expect.
The saying that collaboration is more important than competition is perhaps the fulcrum upon which the cooperation amongst the leadership of all government agencies in the Nigerian maritime sector is flourishing. The chief executives of the NPA, NIMASA, Shippers Council, Man Oron, NIWA, and the CRFFN have embraced a monthly meeting platform to deliberate upon ways of growing the Nigerian maritime industry. Considering the unending similarities in their mandates, constantly comparing notes will definitely play a major role in the Nigerian maritime sector. The Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA) governs and operates the major ports in Nigeria. These are the Lagos Port Complex and the Tin Can Island Port Complex, both in Lagos State, the Calabar Port Complex in Cross River State, the Delta Ports in Warri, Delta State, and the Rivers Port Complex and Onne Port Complex, both in Rivers State. Services offered by the authority include harbor services, cargo handling, marine services, and security services, amongst others. The Managing Director, NPA, Ms. Hadiza Bala Usman, says the authority is considering incentives for co-signees to improve turnaround time for cargo pickup.
24 hours means traversing the port locations at night, also moving your cargoes outside the port locations at night. Those security deployments need to be made to enable consignees be comfortable in coming to pick their cargo within 24 hours.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, was established primarily for the administration of maritime safety and security, seafarer standards and maritime labor regulation, ship development and promotion of commercial shipping. Others include cabotage activities, pollution prevention and control in the marine environment. The agency also implements Domesticated International Maritime Organization (IMO) and International Labour Organization conventions. The agency's Director General, Dr. Bashiru Jamo, has constantly reiterated that constant interface with other organs of government in Nigeria is essential to actualizing the mandates of the agency. The issue of wreck removal from Nigerian waters and deployment of the NIMASA floating dockyard is a testament to this fact.
We are not in a position to continue using public funds and then at the end of the day we end up in maybe losing some funds. So what we intend to do is to go by public-private partnership. We have the asset and we will have to get the location where we can keep the asset. We will have to get the management partners. To do this is not going to be a NIMASA affair alone or NPA affair or Federal Ministry of Transportation's affair alone. We also have to go to ICRC. Let them look at what we intend to do, what is the workability, the profit, and the mode of the PPP we intend to do. That is the process we are following now. And as soon as we conclude the process, obtain the necessary approval from the Federal Ministry of Transportation and the ICRC, we will deploy it fully. But as of today, we have commenced the entire process of utilizing the modular floating dock.
Transport is a critical determinant in the conduct of international trade and impacts on national economies. The availability, quality, cost and efficiency of transport services influence the trading environment and the competitiveness of export goods on the international market, as well as the costs of imported goods. In this regard, the Nigerian Shippers Council serves as an agent for economic development through interventions in cost moderation and cargo transport issues, resulting in positive impact on inflationary trends in the country. The Council is responsible for cargo protection and port economic regulation, thus creating an effective regulatory regime at the Nigerian ports for the control of tariff rates, charges, and other economic services. The Shippers Council is also committed to this cooperation initiative in the Nigerian maritime sector, and the Executive Secretary, Barrister Hassan Bello, says a reformed tracking system in the digital port era is essential to the cause.
We are setting up a committee to look at how do we digitalize our ports. By the last count, 63% of transactions are done online at the ports, and we have got all the processes. But what we are discussing here is to bring about the port community system, which is a harbinger to the national single window. We can't wait endlessly for single window. We have to do with what we have. So we are going to roll out the port community system, and that means we are going to have, efficiency, electronic transactions. They are open, they are honest, and they are simplified in line with the presidential enabling council for ease of doing business.
When these chief executives meet and discuss, it's noteworthy that some issues not even on the agenda also get a mention. Of great concern is the revelation that some truck drivers are actually responsible for the constant falling over of trucks carrying containers on our roads.
This is something that we've observed, and we feel that it is a critical thing that needs to be addressed. The latching of the containers are usually done in the port locations with the terminal operators and supervision by Nigerian Port. We're working now with the Federal Road Safety Corps on developing a task force that would supervise and inspect these truck drivers that tend to loosen their latches when they leave the port environment.
Aside of exploring ways to curb this practice, the executives also noted the need to improve on inland waterways transportation. Dr. Jamo, who had chaired the last meeting, told the media that one of their resolutions is to focus more on inland water transportation.
The committee agreed to look into the inland waterways system by use of barges in transporting our own cargo into the different dry ports operations. NIWA is being charged with the responsibility of ensuring the operationality of inland waterways mode of transportation.
The managing director of NIWA, Mr. George Mogalu, who was also present at the meeting, is hosting the next meeting. The Council for the Registration of Freight Forwarders and the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, ORAN, are also part of this new initiative.
We must, as a government, fast-track the utilization or expansion of intermodal transportation system. And as you've seen, this government is very keen in prioritizing that. The rail deployment is being actively done. The inland waterways is being actively driven by the DG of NIWA, and we're all providing the necessary support.
At the end of the day, it is the hope of this committee to ensure that we make use of all modes of transportation system.
So if intermodalism is the way forward, the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation should be part of the next meeting.
We agree that we are going to co-opt the Nigerian Railway Corporation to be part of our next month's meeting.
Collaboration is when several parties join hands to complete any particular business venture or any ordinary task. And in this particular case, all hands must be on deck to achieve the set of goals of developing the Nigerian maritime industry. Henry Ford said, "If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself." So success is the goal as CEOs in the maritime sector converge once more, this time to be hosted by the Nigerian Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA.
I'm sure you noticed from that report that intermodalism is taking prominence in the scheme of things. The Federal Ministry of Transportation is working on linking the ports, the Nigerian ports, to functioning rail systems here in the country, from linking Lokoja to Warri, Ibadan, Lagos. Makes it quite easy to transport things, and it's also good to note that coaches are coming back on rail tracks in Nigeria.
We have preached that to the contractor to provide necessary safety wears for the workers to come to site and continue the work so that they can finish and we can enjoy the benefit of having this corridor in operation. We are hoping that middle of September, this standard gauge will come in. Also, the narrow gauge, we are hoping by the end of the month, we'll start something on the Lagos Mass Transit and Lagos to Kano train service.
face of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. We are charting the direction for a maritime and regulating the industry for a better, bigger, and more economically stable Nigeria. Evolved to serve you better. We are NIMASA. New face, rejuvenated service. NIMASA, changing the tides in your favor.
Let's now turn our attention to labor matters. Very, very crucial. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, led by its President General, Comrade Adewale Adeyanju, paid a visit to the management of NIMASA. Top on the list of the things they talked about would be the welfare of dock workers and seafarers.
Just like any other meeting these days, protocols of COVID-19 preventions were observed with the spacing out. However, this did not deter the labor leaders from reciting the labor movement song of solidarity. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union is so strong. The President General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Comrade Adewale Adeyanju, and other members of his executive team were full of commendations for the management of NIMASA for ensuring harmony amongst dock workers and their employers. The union made reference to the issue of biometric identification for dock workers and training of seafarers and dock workers.
The dock workers are the people working with the stevedoring contractors, duly registered by NIMASA and engaged by terminal operators. But over the years, the biometric ID card issued out to the dock workers for almost 4 or 5 years now have been expired. They want to appeal to the management of NIMASA to expedite actions by way of putting up machinery in motion to make sure that all the dock workers all over Nigeria seaports, they renew their identity card.
Comrade Adeyanju also noted the need for the reduction of the price of discharge certificates and setting a day aside for the celebration of dock workers.
We equally talk of the reduction of the high cost of discharge certificate for seafarers, because over the year the seafarers have been having a battleground with their certificates because of the high cost. Setting a day aside for the celebration of dock workers like the seafarers suggested July of 17, we've already equally met the management of NIMASA on that.
Engineer Victor Oche, the Executive Director of Maritime Labour and Cabotage Services of NIMASA, who represented the DG NIMASA, noted that NIMASA sees the union as partners in progress.
It is the duty of NIMASA to standardize dock workers' operations, and in that wise, we are also going beyond to build a career path for dock workers. So dock workers won't just be people you see around and pick by the roadside. Dock workers will now become a professional career, and someone leaving secondary school can say, I want to be a dock worker, because there'll be career progression that will take him or her to the end of the limits of the profession.
Barrister Oche also noted that NIMASA is working closely with the management of the NPA to improve the welfare and efficiency of dock workers in the country.
We have a collaboration with NPA, and they have also know about every ship calling at its port, and they know the berths where they'll come in from. So we'll work with them to ensure that document they key into their system comes on an electronic board. At every berth, you're going to see the ships calling at the berths from a central command system, which is just sent, and you see it appearing at your berths.
Do you know who a seafarer is? Seafarers are the people who make the world go round. Seafarers are people who have been employed to work on the ships. They ensure smooth sailing of the ship while making sure that goods and services get to us from every part of the world. And despite the COVID-19 pandemic, this set of people are still working for the benefit of everyone. Wow! Let us celebrate these special people, as they are the people who truly make the world go round. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA.
The governing board of NIMASA had a retreat recently. The main thrust of that retreat was how to develop capacity in the area of having efficiency when it comes to implementing government policies in the maritime sector. Well-meaning Nigerians from various walks of life came in to share experiences with the board, one of them being Professor Pat Utomi. We caught up with him during that session and we had a chat.
The fastest way to grow an economy is to have an effective ocean-facing city. So, but how do you harvest all the opportunities that exist for the maritime, for international trade? You've got to have a very clear strategy, have a good understanding of both the comparative advantage of your area with its factor endowments, how you can dominate certain global value chains. So the whole idea and concept of latent comparative advantage all playing out for an economy. Nigeria has under-harvested the possibilities from its maritime area. 300-400 years ago, the areas that make up Nigeria had river-going and sea-going vessels built here. They were not far behind those built in Europe and elsewhere. But somehow, I don't know whether it was colonial intervention and all of that, but we became less innovative, less competitive, and fell behind. I think the duty of people who run an organization like NIMASA is to bring Nigeria back to where it should be. Take Nigeria back to where its place should be. Interestingly, my engagement with the sector covers not just NIMASA, but many years with the Ports Authority. I was on the TCPC board. I actually led the TCPC board for Nigerian Ports Authority, commercializing it back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And there's just so much unfulfilled potential that getting the kind of young, engaged board that the NIMASA has managed to get should be something to hope will drive a transforming experience. So I am looking forward to seeing how this will happen. I'll leave them a personal mantra. I don't believe in impossibles. If you tell me that thing is not possible, my response usually is why not? And I think if they take that kind of attitude, they'll find that they possibly can move mountains and that they can change things. I think they're fortunate in many ways. The DG has been in the system. He's learned a lot through the years. I've interacted with him as some of the many experts I brought together for this retreat. The other members of the board have cognate experience. What they need to do is be innovative, be very, very creative. Fear not. The problem with decision making is people fear too much. The audacity of hope, the audacity of belief that you can make a difference that can earn you immortality. If you just have that, they can travel very far.
As I said at the beginning of the program, it's September. The Ember periods have started. And we know that a lot of people dread this period because they feel a lot of bad things happen. A lot of things have gone wrong already, but we could work together to make sure that more do not happen. Boat mishaps, for instance. If all the protocols are properly followed, skippers do the right things, passengers protect themselves, would have less of such crashes. And in respect of this, the DG NIMASA sent out a tweet. Every disaster brings sadness, whether land, air, or water. My condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in the Lagos helicopter crash and the Adamawa boat accident. May God strengthen you in your moment of grief. We'll continue to strive for safer waters. So we urge you to please be safe out there, no matter where you are. With that, I'll be saying thank you very much for being a part of NIMASA This Week. Remember, you could follow the DG NIMASA on Twitter. He's at Jamo Bashir. You could also follow NIMASA on all her social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. They're all at NIMASA Official. At NIMASA Official. Till I come your way again, my name is Cordelia Obe. Expect something new and beautiful this week. Bye-bye.